Well, we made it back, but it's kind of bittersweet in that we're glad to be home, but it was tough saying goodbye, especially to the little kids. And when we show you the pictures, you're going to understand what I mean by that. Before we start showing the pictures, though, and telling you all about the trip, we as a team want to thank you all again for your love, your support, and your prayers. And because of your faithfulness in praying for us and your generous support, we were able to bless this life-saving ministry in San Vicente, Mexico. And even though, you weren't physically with us, because of your support, and you became fellow workers for the truth, as John says in 3 John. So we want to thank you, but also our extended family in San Vicente at the Casa del Pastor and the Calvary Chapel also want to say thank you, that they love and appreciate every one of you. And they're praying that maybe we can send a team again down next year. That's kind of our heart as well. Also, where's Stephanie? We want to thank our sister Stephanie Miller for making our awesome t-shirts. I am wearing it. It's just that I got to have a collar for now. But she did a fantastic job. And several people at the airport, we wore them on the way down from St. Louis all the way to Mexico on our first day, the travel day. And people at the airport stopped us and thanked us. And the stewardesses thanked us. They said, we're happy that you're going down to Mexico to help out. So it was a great opportunity to be ambassadors for Christ and, just to tell them what God is doing there and the goodness of God. So thank you again, Stephanie. And then I personally want to thank the team. For a group of people who've never been on a mission trip, you all served like seasoned missionaries. And the local missionaries there noticed it and were very grateful. They just loved our attitude. Nobody was complaining. We were knit together in love. And because of the unity of the Spirit, we were able to get a lot done for God's glory. And the servants' hearts that this team demonstrated is indicative of how we're being taught here at Calvary Chapel Festus. This fellowship exudes the love of Christ. And the sign of a healthy church isn't necessarily how many people occupy the seats. The sign of a healthy, vibrant church is the love that's demonstrated there. And this church is healthy. So again, thank you, team, for making this trip enjoyable despite some uncomfortable conditions. I think I swallowed 2 flies and 3 gnats. But not on purpose. I'm not an animal. So, in case you're not familiar with the ministry there in Mexico, we just want to tell you a little bit about Casa del Pastor and what they do for the women and children there. Casa del Pastor, or the House of the Shepherd for us gringos, is an outreach of Calvary Chapel, Moreno Valley, and it's located about an hour south of Ensenada, Mexico, on the Baja Peninsula. They serve and take care of abandoned and or abused women and their children. It was founded by a sister named Lisa Height. While serving on a mission trip in Mexico, God gave Lisa a vision and a burden to minister to abused and or abandoned women and their children. And she shared her vision with the leadership at her home church, Calvary Chapel, Moreno Valley. They came alongside her, supported her vision, and Casa del Pastor was birthed. And this was over 30 years ago. She's been there that long. And Jeannie Sue Fegley was sent as a missionary to San Vicente by her home church, Calvary Chapel, San Bernardino, in 1992. And she shared the same burden as Lisa, and together they founded Casa del Pastor, or CDP. I'm going to refer to it as CDP from here on out, maybe. There's a local Calvary Chapel in San Vicente called Capilla Calvario San Vicente, and it's a church plant from Calvary Chapel, Moreno Valley. All the women and children from Casa del Pastor attend this fellowship where they're faithfully being taught the Word of God. And it's pastored by Mark Scooter Cameo. Him and his wife Katrina lovingly minister to the needs of these women and their children, again, by teaching them the Word and by encouraging them in their faith. So that's the core group of local missionaries there. But a lot of the women who've been helped there and have become born-again followers of Jesus have chosen to stay, and they also minister to the women and children. I think of Juanita, the one who cooked our delicious meals the entire time we were there. She was one of the first women that received help from Casa del Pastor, and she's been there for probably over 25 years. And she helps to nurture and minister to the women and their kids. You know, she's so grateful to God and to the ministry there that she stayed on to help out. She volunteers, and she's married to a guy named Felix, and he's the maintenance coordinator, and he has a tremendous testimony as well. Hopefully one of the guys here will share that later. And we're going to show you pictures of both Fidel and Juanita. And so there's a lot more women who have done the same. There are a lot who've stayed and help, and they help run CDP now. So, all right, so the women and their kids are referred to CDP by either church organizations, missionaries, orphanages, or civil authorities from Baja, or even by word of mouth. You know, they'll meet someone, a lady that has been helped by CDP, and she'll say, hey, you need to take your kids and get to the casa. They'll help you out. So now, as soon as they show up at the refuge, they receive a furnished room, food, and clothing. And then they're encouraged to participate in the program, get involved with all that's going on. Lisa is a trained counselor, so they receive counseling to help them better understand their situation. The kids are enrolled in school, and actually they now have an in-house school right there at CDP, so the kids don't even have to leave the property to go to school. In fact, one of the women that was helped by CDP, Adriana, she became a licensed school teacher, and now she's the school coordinator. And there are a lot of stories like that. Many of the kids that grew up at Casa del Pastor have gone on to college and received degrees. And a lot. I think Lisa said over 30 of the kids that have grown up at CDP have graduated from Calvary Chapel Bible College at Ensenada. So it's just a tremendous ministry. Anyway, so the kids are provided with school supplies and tutoring if they need it, and medical and dental is also provided. All right, so now we're going to talk about the 3 steps in what we can call ministry in action, or the goal of blessing them with a new house and a fresh new start in life. Step 1, they buy a piece of property. So each mom agrees to get a job and save her money, and it's kind of easy for them to say because they don't really have any expenses. Everything's provided for them. And then for the moms who have kids that aren't old enough to attend school, daycare is provided right there at CDP free of charge so the moms can go to work. The money that they save is used to purchase a small piece of property, and I think Lisa said that the plot is about 50 feet by 80 feet, and I have no idea what the piece of property costs anymore. It used to be about $1,500, so I have no clue right now. But all right, so step 2 is to build the home. So once the property is paid in full, CDP makes arrangements for volunteer church groups to build a home on their property free of charge. In other words, it's like maybe a church from, Festus, Missouri would commit to going down and pouring the foundation. So that team would pay for the materials and actually pour the foundation. Then another team would commit to doing the framing and so on and so forth until the house is complete. And I'm talking turnkey ready. When they give the keys to the mom and her kids, they open that door, their house is, even decorated. Every appliance and everything that they need to start a new life. And so then step 3 is moving in. By the time a mom and her kids move into their brand new home, they've learned the necessary skills to support and care for themselves and their families. And then Casa del Pastor kind of becomes an extended family. The women are not so dependent on CDP anymore. They've learned responsibility and how to take care of their household. But the most important aspect of this ministry is the fact that the women and children are being exposed to the gospel of Jesus Christ. They have daily devotions at CDP. Again, they attend church at Calvary Chapel San Vicente, and they are witnessing the Christian walk modeled on a daily basis. And that's the most important thing, right? That they would come to know the Lord. Okay, so that's the gist of the ministry there. I think as we show the pictures, it's going to make a little bit clear of all that God is doing there in San Vicente and at this life-saving refuge. All right, so I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to talk about something God taught me personally while serving alongside the locals there in Mexico. He showed me a lot, but we don't have the time. And so I'm anxious to hear from the rest of the team, and I'm sure you guys are too. And we're going to hear from them after we show the pictures. So I wrote some things down in a journal. And so what I have to share is kind of paraphrasing what I wrote over the first couple of days that I was there. Things I noticed, observed in the life of the locals there. And it's something I was lacking. So this was my 6th mission trip to Casa del Pastor, and every time I go down, I'm humbled by the servants there, by the missionaries, by the men and women at the church, and by the women and their children at CDP. And it's the way they love and serve our Lord. And we're going to show some pictures of how these little children love to serve, and it's kind of convicting. So what I noticed is how the people there live their lives with such joy and contentment. And they do it despite their circumstances and lack of stuff, possessions. So I was really convicted. I'm like, Lord, why don't I have the same joy and contentment that these brothers and sisters have? Here they are living in a third world country, can't drink the water, can't flush the toilet paper. They have, very little in terms of possessions. They have hardly anything. But they're so joyful and content with their lives. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me. He said, you don't have the same joy and contentment because you don't have the same gratitude they do. I was like, ouch. You take things for granted. They're thankful for all that God has done for them. He's taken them out of horrible, dangerous situations and given them hope. Well, he did that for us too, right? We were in a dangerous place, a dangerous situation. Right? If he hadn't saved us, we'd be on our way to hell and eternal separation from our loving Creator. He's taken them out of extreme poverty, blessed them with their own homes and an eternal home in heaven. And again, he's done that for you and I, right? We were spiritually bankrupt when we came to him, in spiritual poverty. And I don't think any of us are homeless. In fact, God has blessed Karen and I with a home about 100 yards away from our kids and grandkids. And we can see them anytime we want, regardless of whether or not they want us to, but we can see them anytime. And because of our simple faith and trust in Jesus' finished work on the cross, we too have an eternal home in heaven, right? And so because of that, because of all that God has done for them, they have the deep-seated joy and they're content with their lives. They're grateful to God for all he's done. And the Holy Spirit showed me that I wasn't really seeking joy. I was seeking happiness. And contrary to popular belief, Jesus didn't come to make us happy. But he did come so that we would know true joy. He said in John 15:9-11, as the Father loved me, I also loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may remain in you and that your joy may be full. So, true joy and contentment comes from abiding in his love for us, realizing what he's done for us on the cross and by obeying what he commands us to do because we love him and are grateful for what he's done. So again, I was seeking happiness, not joy. And there's nothing wrong with happiness. Actually, there's one thing wrong with happiness, and that is that it's fleeting. Right? It comes and goes. It changes, and that's because it's based on our physical circumstances. And our circumstances change. So we can go from being happy to sad in a second, right? Depending on our circumstances. But true joy is based on our relationship with Jesus. It's based on what he's done for us and the love he has for us. And that never changes. So our joy shouldn't change, right? It's a deep-seated, underlying joy that should always be present regardless of our circumstances. It's the joy of the Lord. His joy in us making our joy full, like I just read in John 15. So it was when I finally got back to serving the Lord with gratefulness in Mexico that I experienced true joy again. And it was because my eyes weren't on myself. Right? We were so busy serving, I didn't have time to be thinking of myself and my needs and my happiness. It was an other-centered week of serving the Lord and his people, and it brought joy and contentment. So I guess what I'm trying to convey is that the Lord taught me that if I want to maintain true joy and contentment, then I need to bring this mission mindset back home with me, right? To live my life as if I'm always on a mission trip. Because I am. Because we are. And to realize that the mission field is right here too, all around us. And to be grateful to him for the love he demonstrated towards me, to get my eyes off of myself, and to serve others with the same love and fervency I did in San Vicente. Intentional service, right? Looking for ways to meet the needs of others and to love people like he does. True deep-seated joy and contentment spring from a heart of gratitude, being thankful to God for his incredible love, and by abiding in that love. All possible only by walking in the Spirit. And the fruit of the Spirit is love, right? And one of the manifestations of that love is joy, as it says in Galatians 5:22. So God is faithful to gently correct us. But like Pastor Scott said, sometimes he has to take us out of our comfort zones, right? Like this trip to Mexico, to stir us up a bit, to get our attention, right? And to hopefully get us back on track. And that's what he did for me while I was on this trip, and that's all I really wanted to share. So, all right, if we're ready, we're gonna look at some pictures, and then for the rest of the time, we're gonna have the team come up and share what God put on their hearts. So. And Brian's going to help me narrate because I've spoke enough. Oh, muy guapo. So
this is where we obviously we started out the trip in the airport as we're waiting to take off here, and we're just waiting, and here is
our mode of transportation for the entire week.
Yeah,
it's an awesome van, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so we had to do the load up all our luggage and everything. And as we started loading up, then we came to the point of realizing that not everyone could fit in the van. So we tried to fit everybody in, but all but one fit. No. But anyway, I had to get that shot in there. But then this is the trip down. As we got into Mexico and started our journey down.
This isn't Cancun. We weren't on vacation in Cancun. Right? This is...
Yeah. And then another view of that, and then along the way we got to get out and enjoy a few minutes on the beach as we were going. And then just to show you that wasn't our destination on the beach. This is where we actually ended up, in San Vicente. So we have a couple of shots of the town there as well, and this is where the ministry is here. So that's kind of the main street.
Downtown San Vicente in its glory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another shot of that.
This is the town that we were in for a week.
Yeah. Another shot there. Okay. And then along the way, just to show you, kind of give you a glimpse into what our economy is going to be here soon, this is actually dollars. No, it's not. I just had to get a shot of that. I was like, wow, okay. It was interesting. But maybe next time we'll need a little more money. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, anyway.
Start fundraising now.
Yeah. So, Okay, so this is Casa del Pastor, and I wanted to show you we got an aerial. This is off of their website. Obviously, we didn't have a ladder that tall to get that view on our own, but I wanted to give you an idea of the actual property. So this is the kind of the main, this is where they stay, right? The ladies and the children, the women and the children, they stay in this. It's like a motel type setup here with an outer courtyard here. It's really beautiful. We'll have some pictures of that too. But then it comes up through here and then around here, including that building there. So like this here, and these are just other homes in the area. But this, you'll see, this is where they do laundry. And then over here too, and then a play area for the kids. So right there. And then this is the temporary kitchen where they're currently eating, and we did too while we're there. And then these are the dorms, the ladies' dorms where they stayed, and then the men's dorm right here where we stayed here as well. So it's kind of just all right there, and really neat.
And the classrooms are right across from
Yes.
that's a new addition there, the school I was talking about.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful, wonderful building. But then, okay.
Lisa Height, the one that I first mentioned, from Calvary Chapel's Moreno Valley, she's the founder. Jeannie Sue, she is the co-founder from Calvary Chapel San Bernardino. And this is Juanita, our cook, and Fidel. And
Yeah, his story is really neat. The second to last night, he shared his testimony,
Yes.
I think. Yeah, and both of them did. His is neat. I'm just won't get into all the deals, but I think the neat thing about it is the way he ended up in San Vicente is he basically just went on a drinking trip. He just drunk himself silly, just got drunk, ended up on a bus. Ended up in San Vicente. I'm not sure if he knows how, but just driving through San Vicente. And as he's driving through, he gets off to get cigarettes. Yeah, get some cigarettes at the station. And the bus just left him, just drove on without him. So it's like, that was the Lord.
God's providence.
Yeah, the Lord saying, bus driver, drive on. So it was really cool. And then the rest of the story is he connected with, eventually connected with the church there and everything. Really cool. Well, great guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so wonderful guy.
Servant's heart, big time.
So here's inside the courtyard, as you're in it. And just a beautiful, again, kind of a beautiful area there that they, the kids get to enjoy. And we enjoyed while we were there, and even while we were doing some work.
And this is after we painted the facility. That's one of the things we were able to do, was paint that entire place.
Yeah, we'll have more before and after pictures of the painting as well as we go through this. But here, again, so at the ground level, here's where they do their laundry in that area there. And then over, we didn't get much of a shot here, but kids' playground area where the kids are at. So it's just really neat, and I'll probably mention it too later, but the kids are all around as we're working and just we're there and doing what we're doing. The kids are everywhere, and it's just really neat. And then here is where this is
their
them
laundry.
Washing their clothes. Yeah, absolutely.
No idea why the washing machines are sitting out there. They used to have a laundry room. I don't know what they're sitting out there for. Obviously, they're not hooked up. So they were hand washing all the clothes. And you see Joe there in the back of me. That's where we had our morning corporate prayer time every morning and before breakfast. So.
And then this is on the other side of the classroom. So to the right here is where the classroom building is, but then that's the kitchen on the left. And this is actually where the kids eat, at the tables outside. It is temporary. They're actually, and I know Craig will touch on it later, but it's just temporary. They're close to getting into where their permanent kitchen will be. It's a work in progress, but almost complete, I think. But that's where they ate. Another view of that as the kids would be out in the morning and some of the adults just kind of getting ready for the day. And we would be out there with them and just walking amongst them and enjoying that. So that's that. Now what we thought we wanted to do is share with you a lot of pictures and a few videos of the kids. The night, it was the Monday night, the first night we were actually, the first full night, where we actually got to give the clothes to the kids. So with the whole clothing drive and everything that you guys just blew them away with, they were so tremendously blessed. So we wanted to share this with you all. Over 40 kids?
42 kids received what the ladies did, and I don't want to take away from what Anna or Deb might be sharing, but 42 kids got a personal gift bag. And it was kind of like Christmas in October because each gift bag had a brand new outfit in it, pants, shirt, socks, underwear, and candy. So.
Yeah, so out of over 42 kids, we only did a video of a couple of them, so we'd be here till later in the day to show you videos of every single child, but we wanted to get a couple videos so you would actually kind of feel like you were there, and then the rest are just pictures of just the smiling faces. But here's them as they're getting ready, and let's see here. Let's see if I can get the audio here. Not getting what I need on that. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so this is as they're getting ready for the evening where we are getting ready to hand out the clothes to them. They're just hanging out and waiting. That's Andreas. You'll see a picture of him, but he's a nut. Yeah. And now here is the video of the first child that actually got their clothes given to him here. And then here's one more video. We'll show you that. Just smiling faces everywhere. They were just so.
I forget her name.
Happy. I didn't. What's
Mia? That? Is that Angelica?
Mia. Maybe. That might be Mia, yeah. Okay. Now, all smiling faces except one. So, this is the girl that I actually picked the clothes out for. I'm kidding. I don't know, but I just, yeah. Actually, that night when she did that, I told Craig that. I was like, I know I probably picked those out for her. Yeah, but it was great. And now from here, just the photos of the rest of the kids. And you just see how just so overjoyed they are with how we bless them. And just so cute, and just all the smiling faces. Yeah, some of these pictures, you'll have to forgive us that they were blurry. As it got darker, it just seemed like all three of us, we were taking photos, and we're like, ours is blurry, or mine's blurry, and yours is too. But you can still see just how happy they were. And then some older young men and women, teenage age maybe.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully
Yeah.
on their way to Bible college eventually.
Yeah, but they were, all of them, hard workers, and we'll show you some of that as well as we go along here. But, yeah, and I don't know that we got all 40 kids, but we got
No.
plenty of pictures here just to show you that it was just what a wonderful blessing of an evening it was. That girl's name is Melanie. She's just adorable. This one here, she, I don't remember her name, but I think she was maybe the tiniest one there. And one night we got to play with the kids. Actually, it was the last night we were there.
A couple of nights. You mean to babysit? Well, the
Yeah.
ladies taught their classes, yeah.
Yeah, and the one night, this girl was in one of those little tykes, you push them around, they got the doors on it, and her big sister would come up to a couple of us, and she would be in there just sitting there, push my sister, and she'd just look up at me. And so I'd push her around for a while until I got tired, and I'd like stop, and then open the door. Ready to come out? She'd just look at me like, no, more. She'd still have me pushing it if she had her way. She's just adorable. Just more smiling faces here. And that was her older sister there. And there's one of the older ones, and she actually watched out for the kids a lot as we were spending time with the kids one night. I think the first night she was looking at us like, I don't know if I trust these gringos. Yeah. These are my kids, and she kind of was watching out for us. And her name is Yade. She's another adorable one. And yeah. Yeah.
There's Juanita again with her daughter.
Yeah. And this is Monkey. So I called him a monkey. He'd get on the monkey bars, and that kid, he was probably, golly, he was so tiny. But he was just zooming through the monkey bars like, wow. It's just amazing. Yeah. There's another one. Yeah, so just a wonderful night. Now, afterwards, so as they were all finished, they all got their clothes and the bags they had. So then they all wanted to thank us. So they just swarmed us to come up and hug us and all that. And that's what the beginning of that, where they came up to just show.
We were like human jungle gyms.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wonderful. And there's Craig. And then, not only that, but, Craig said that they got candy. They wanted to give the candy back to us. So as we're sitting there, they would come up, oh, no, it's yours, yours. And they insisted. They wanted to share their candy with us. So, yeah, it was just so cute. Okay. So I don't know if you share about this.
So CDP was gifted this 40 acres of land, and they had been sitting on it for a while until they had the funds to start working it. And it's a working ranch now. They are producing crops. They've got a milk cow. They've got a beef cow, which Wagyu beef, I think, something like that. And so what their prayer is that they'd be self-sufficient regarding food, and then maybe even be able to sell their produce and their meat. So it's just a blessing.
Yeah, so that's kind of a big picture aerial view of the ranch.
It's about 5 miles from the facility, by the way, CDP. So
40, 50 acres?
40 acres, I
40,
believe, yeah.
So yeah, as we pull up then, they have horses that are just recreational, basically, but the horses just are so, they come right up to you and want to be fed and all. So that was pretty cool. And then
Goats.
there's the goats, yeah. And then So the cows that they have there. And of course, when you have a cow, you have to tend to the cow.
So I tried to milk a cow, but it was utter chaos. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now this is, and you want to just briefly mention what this
Okay,
is?
so this is a ministry that sprung from Casa del Pastor. It's called New Life Ranch. One of the ladies that was helped at CDP, Pilar, she was in a Mexican prison for dealing dope. When she got out, she was helped by CDP. And so she has, on that same ranch property, they built a intense discipleship for women that are getting out of prison or drug rehab. So that's what that is. And that's Pilar right there.
Yeah, and then inside the facility, so
Yeah.
this is where the ladies would stay. One of two rooms, right?
Yeah, I believe there's
I think
two.
Currently they have one active, and then they have room for another set of bunks in another room. So a wonderful, neat facility. So this
Go ahead.
is, yeah. So this is what Craig was sharing earlier about just basically how the ladies at Casa del Pastor, they have the opportunity to save up for a property, and then eventually they have their homes built for them. This is the most recent, correct?
Yeah, December of last year.
Yeah, and her name?
Ignacia.
Ignacia. And so she is the latest one to have received a home. And so we got the pleasure of actually going to visit her home. She welcomed us in and showed us the home. This is her family here. She has a son and daughter that we got to meet as well. And so then they brought us into her home, or their home, and showed us around, and we got to spend the afternoon with them. And so it was really neat to hear their story, to hear the story and spend some time with them, and to see. So, and they're all designed the same way, basically,
pretty
except
much.
for the decorations.
Some of them may have more bedrooms depending on the
Yeah.
amount of kids.
Size of family,
It's a
yep.
far cry better than what they're used to.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
So that's their kitchen there. Okay, and so then we get into the work that we did while we were there, the Ways to Serve. And so the first major project we had was to paint that big building, the motel-style building that we showed you, where the women and the children stay, a 2-story building that we painted the outside and the inside. The outside being this big side you see here, and then the front of it going this way. That's what we painted, and then all of the inside we painted as well. So this is the before pictures. It's more of like a kind of a reddish, and then they wanted to go with basically the same colors, but we did more of an orange, a bright. You'll see the orange that we painted over it, and then the blue.
I think they're Florida Gator fans.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, the setup here and the before picture, and then we had to wash it down first before we started painting. So we got a power washer we went to buy, and then to bless them with, obviously we weren't bringing that back with us, but we got to bless them with it after we used it. So it stayed down there with them to use. But we washed the entire building. I say we, Joe and Chuck basically did it. We killed a bear and Paul shot him, right? So they did it. But then we got to work on the actual painting. There's some knucklehead just standing there with a pole.
Looking busy.
Yeah, looking busy. The photo op, I'd make a good politician. Anyway, and then we had to test the structure of the climbing wall, to make sure it was still worth keeping. So we played around a little too, I don't know, Kyle, I'm sorry about it, but, you're laying around and playing, and I don't know. We got a couple of shots of him working in here, so. Had to do it. So then here's us getting ready to actually do the painting. And so yeah, just a lot of, the pictures of us painting here. Now, not just us, but these kids, I'm telling you, these were just hardworking kids and never once showed complaint whatsoever. Never. They just wanted in there, and yeah. So they saw us doing it, and they wanted in on the action. And at times we kind of just stood back and just enjoyed the show as they just showed us how to serve. And they loved it. They just loved being a part of what we were doing. It was an incredible blessing. And here, so under one set of steps, the bigger portion over here, I was painting, and then they come along, and they basically invade my space and push me out. So I'm like, you know what? They're doing as good a job as I. So I just backed off and let them finish the whole area. It was just really cool. That's what you see there, is they just really took over the rollers and the paintbrushes, and they loved being a part of it. So it's really cool. And then here we are, Chuck, painting. That was actually in the courtyard. Yeah, as we got into that part there too. So more of us actually getting to work on the outside there. And even the designs they already had, like the sun there, they had clouds, they had the octopus as well, right? We had to paint those for them and paint around that stuff. So here's the finish. We start showing you the finished work, the after pictures. And so, just to show you that what it looked like afterwards there. And that was in the courtyard there. More of that. So then that was the painting. Then our next project was, if you want to touch on that.
Sure. So going on a mission trip, you always want to remember to remain flexible. Pastor Chuck said, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be broken." And that's something that we brought with us to the mission trip, is just to be flexible. Things change. So we thought that we were going to be, this is a room where they're teaching ballet, by the way, to the kids at CDP, but they've also invited Towns kids in, and they share the gospel with them and are teaching them ballet. Well, this room had carpeting, so it wasn't conducive to ballet. It's been a long time since I did any ballet. So they wanted to know if we could pull up the carpet and put down hardwood or laminate. And we were still in the States when they asked that, and we're like, yeah, we could do that. We get there, pull up the carpet, and the concrete is buckled. There's no way you're going to put that kind of flooring because, it has to snap together.
Some of the pictures, in fact. Yeah.
So we had to bust up the concrete and remove the entire floor, and then we poured them an entire new slab. And we got them the flooring. We just didn't get the opportunity to put the flooring down, but it's ready for it.
So here again, the before picture, but you see even the ladies were in there helping us as far as starting to break up some of the stuff and get the loose stuff picked up and all before we started the work. Now here's the one who actually did the busting. Yeah. He did it all. And all we did is just pick it up. We just all stood around while he did it. I'm telling you though, these kids, they were just looking for the tools we had, and it's like they wanted in there. And they are hard workers. It was wonderful to watch. And then of course he's
always working.
The work, there you go. The work of picking up the old stuff there. And then, of course, that's when we get into the process of getting ready to lay down the new, put in the new concrete. So plenty of pictures of all that work that we were doing. All the prep work here. And then that's where we start actually pouring the new. And Fidel, he was the Jefe,
boss.
Yep. The boss, yep. Right there. So that's that. And there's Andres. Yeah, he's quite a character. Yeah. Anytime, I have to share one thing. So the whole time we're there, anytime, he speaks English,
broken, but
yeah. It's broken, but he speaks some English well enough, and he understands. And so if you're talking to him, And then it comes to a point where somebody asks him to do something. All of a sudden, it's like, no comprende, no comprende. What was funny, though, is one night he's sitting in the kitchen with us, or we're eating, and someone was speaking Spanish, someone was interpreting and speaking English. And, and then it comes to a point where something's said, and both, the Spanish and the English, they were asking if Andreas could do something. And he even then says, no comprende, no comprende,
Yeah.
in both languages. He's a hoot. He is such a character, a fun guy, such a fun guy. And then there's some more of us doing some work there. And, we all got to enjoy. So here's the pastor. We got a better picture of him later as we went to attend his fellowship, attend the church service. But that's the pastor who came over and helped us a little bit as well. And, but here we are with the kids again. They wanted in there. They wanted to do the work with us here. It was really cool. And here is the finished product. So what we're going to do next year is we're probably going to go back and plan a little better to actually finish the floor. So that's as far as we got. I'm kidding, of course, but we didn't actually get the finish, the after picture. This is as far as we got as far as pictures. But trust us, it did get all the way laid down. So, but that was most of the new. But then here's the cleanup crew. So they were in there and just cleaning up too, and they wanted to. It was just it was a joy to watch. So you want to speak on this here?
Sure. So 4 guys came down from 2 different Calvary Chapels at the same time we did. Calvary Chapel Moreno Valley sent 2 guys, and Calvary Chapel Paris Valley sent 2 guys.
For the weekend, yeah.
For the weekend.
Later in the week.
And they're the ones that are remodeling the kitchen for them. Well, they had this range hood that was, 8 feet long, Joe, maybe?
Wow. And here's
Something
a picture of it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
The after
installed.
picture
Well, they came all the way down with the sole purpose of getting that thing hung and operational. Then they realized that they need a sheet metal worker and electrician. Kyle's an electrician, and Chuck has got great experience with sheet metal. So they helped them get that installed, and they told me that they would have not been able to install this had those 2 guys been there. So it was the Lord, totally.
there. Yeah. And then we have the ladies, and I know they'll share if they so desire, but they had ministry of their own. They had an opportunity to do as they were down there. And is Anna here?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, and I know she'll share with that, but she got to bless the ladies with what she'll share that she got to do down there. And so help me out. Is it crocheting? Okay, the crocheting you did, and she can speak more to that, but just spending time with the ladies there and blessing them with that. And the bubbles. We got more pictures of the bubbles. The kids just thoroughly enjoyed that.
Telling you, they're content with the little.
Yeah. And then Deb, and just the way that she was able to bless them. And Alyssa as well. They blessed them with in the way that they did. Cleaning out, so you first cleaned out the old cabinet for medicine and everything, and this is what they were able to bring down to bless them with, just some of the stuff there, as far as medical supplies and first aid stuff and everything. And there's that as well, just stuff that was definitely needed down there. And then here we have at least, it was a couple nights maybe, where 3 nights, yeah, and she can share more about that, but 3 nights where in the nursery, they would take the ladies, while we were watching the kids, they would take the ladies and meet in the nursery and go over first aid and different things that they were able to teach them. And those are the pictures we have of that, being able to bless the ladies, the moms, with that information. So, CPR. Yeah. So that was cool. Different shots of that. And then taking blood pressure, right? Showing them how to do that. And that was wonderful. And then we had the times where we were able to get out. Different times we had to, like this was a trip to Ensenada we had to make to actually go to the Home Depot to get some supplies. And while we were out, just different places we went to eat, enjoy some of the food there.
These are fish tacos.
Fish tacos.
The best. It's the best.
And then here was, if you want to share what this was.
Oh, well, yeah, so we took, I think it was Saturday night, we went to La Bufadora. It's on the coast, of course. An underwater cave that geyses up about 100 feet. It's just a pretty cool place. It was just a little bit of downtime. We got away, did some souvenir shopping, and had a really good meal. Some sinner among us, I don't know who it was, told this one-man mariachi band that it was, he lied and said it was Chuck's birthday. So this is Chuck being like, what's going on? Is this guy serenading him? I don't know who could have done something like that.
Yeah. Doesn't rhyme with Craig, huh? Okay. And then there's the picture of everybody together. Okay. And then this is us at the church there at San Vicente, near Casa del Pastor. The pastor, of course, great guy, wonderful Bible teacher. And we were blessed because he did a bilingual Bible study. We did, the Wednesday night was the men's study, where just the men went to the church and did study there, fellowship. But then Thursday night, they had a church service, and then Sunday morning, of course. And all three of them, he actually did it in both Spanish and English for us. So it was a wonderful, wonderful blessing. But a great guy, wonderful guy. But yeah, that's us at the church, and just to hear them singing in Spanish was just so beautiful, so wonderful to enjoy the worship in their language. And now here, just the rest of the time, the rest of the slides are basically just what we got to enjoy as we were there the whole time, and just the kids all around us. We would just see them as they were gathering in the morning, getting ready for breakfast or lunch, and then the times they would play. As we're around, we're doing work or we're taking breaks, and we just, all the time we're around, they're there. And it was just such a tremendous blessing just to see them around and to enjoy that. And so that's basically the rest of the pictures we have is just to show you that we got to enjoy. That's them lining up for lunch. And this was cool because, like I said, we would see them in the morning, but as we're eating, I showed you that kitchen, the temporary kitchen, we're there, they would come in too, and they would come in, buenos dias, and just smiles on their faces, and it just, I know, it just warmed us, it brightened our day, brightened our morning. And so here's just one video of that, where we'd see them in and out. And I had to get this video, this little girl here at the bottom here, just so adorable. It's just, yeah. It was just wonderful. But every morning, we would just see this, morning and lunchtime, and they were just all around, but it's super cute.
And I think it was every evening meal, one of the ladies, at least one of the ladies would give their testimony too while we were eating dinner.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Just amazing. Yeah. And there's more pictures of us with the kids. They love the bouncy balls. Oh my goodness, that just, they played that for hours and hours. So we brought those out. This was actually the first day we were there. So we flew in Sunday, or we got in there Sunday late, but this was the Monday morning where they're out and they're actually doing an experiment together, and we got to watch them do that and just the fun they would have during school. It was pretty cool. And I bet you didn't know, but divas also pick their nose as well. So had to get a picture of that. Pretty cool. Even divas. So And just adorable. Wow. Just precious. And this is as we're working. Again, they're right there. Just their whole playground there is right next to us. So we got to enjoy watching them. And this is the night. So again, as Craig mentioned, there was one night where we watched them while the ladies were doing their CPR and their different classes. And we watched them, or maybe, I don't know, maybe they watched us, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, yeah, we got rowdy at times, but no broken bones. So, but, yeah, we had fun that night with them. There's Monkey again. Just a blast we had with him. Yeah, the one thing that was so frustrating, actually, so the two guys in the back photobombed, but they're two of the guys that came. One of them came from one of the other churches, and then the other from the other church. Those are two of the four that came down. That's Mia. I fell in love with her. She is so adorable. And you'll see, those are my glasses. She wanted to wear them. And so it's actually funny. I gave her my glasses to wear and then just went about the day. And it wasn't until later that evening, she tracked me down because I forgot she had them. And she came to me and it's like, here. And I just forgot she even had them. Should have let her keep them. And there she is. Oh, the kids just loved being on the shoulders. I don't remember it now, but if I heard it again, I would know instantly the Spanish word for shoulder.
I forget.
Just, whatever it was, they were just, we couldn't refuse. It was so fun. Yeah, just so much fun. This was like the last night, again, where we were pushing them around on their bikes and all that, and just chaos. It was so fun. And, of course, the swings. You can't go near swings without kids and not push them and play with them. So, and here's the bubbles. They just enjoyed that. Play with those for hours. And then I thought I'd end it with a video here of the kids that we have here. And again, this is just as we're working, we're standing, kind of taking a break, and just to see this, just put a smile on our faces. Just what a joy. So, I know for me, just a verse that or a couple of verses that I wanted to share that the time I was down there just really kept coming to me is Matthew 18. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus saying, "Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" Then Jesus called a little child to him, set him in the midst of them, and said, "Assuredly, I say to you, unless you are converted, become as little children, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself as this little child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever receives one little child like this in my name receives me." And just, to me, just the time spent with those children was so precious. It was to see, there's obviously, there is a difference between childish and childlike, and to have that childlike faith. That's what kept running into my mind, just to see those kids full of joy, full of contentment, love, just trust, as they didn't know us, but, as they would just see in us, just, they saw something in us, to where we were willing to love on them and smile and just show care toward them. They were just so open to that. But I know it truly warmed my heart. And so, yeah, to me, it was such a blessing just to spend time with those children and just to learn from them. I know, Craig, I'm going to share it because it was both you and me. There was one time early in the week where we were doing the painting, and I was up high, so I couldn't get to the kid, and Craig was down on the ground. So we look over, and there's a kid running with this pan of paint in it, and he's running with it. And I'm thinking, I'm about to holler out to somebody. I'm like, get that kid. And Craig does the same thing. He's like, hey, we got to get him. So Craig runs after him. It's like, what is he going to do with that paint? And he runs over. He takes that paint, and Craig gets over to him just in time to where he gets over to where he's washing it. Yeah. And it was like, wow, we thought, you got to stop that kid. He's going to do something bad with that paint. He's taking that pan over to wash it for us and to clean it out. And that was, I know for me, that was convicting. And yeah, it was just, wow, what a beautiful, beautiful picture. But just for me, it was just such a blessing just to spend time with those kids. I did not want to leave them. And I told Melissa, my heart's still there with them. And so, yeah. We're already planning our next trip back, which is just in a couple months. So we're actually going back already and going to visit them again. So, yeah, they're our family now. Mm-hmm. So I just really, that's the one thing that impacted me. I know when we went down, and on my heart it was wonderful to do for them while we were down there, but I felt we also needed to connect with them, or it would only been a half of a trip, and the doing for them was wonderful, and but to connect with them, just made the trip a full trip, I think, in my mind. So that was what I wanted to share. So.
Deb, would you like to come up?
Well, they kind of told it all, but I do have just a little bit to add. I got sick about the third day there, so I had a lot of hard time talking. But I managed. Alyssa and I went with the intent of giving some health education to the women. Lisa and I had talked back and forth through text messages about things that she needed and wanted and was hoping for. So I was able to get the blow-up dummies you saw in the pictures, the baby and the adult, for CPR training. I took blood pressure cuffs and taught Magali, her daughter, how to take blood pressures. And what else? We did diabetes training, diet training, just about everything I could think of in a short amount of time that we had, which was fun. And interesting because their diet is a lot of starch and there's a lot of diabetes over there. So the night that I taught diabetes training, and I was telling the ladies, well, you have to only have this much rice. You can't have, a whole giant bowl of rice. You have to have this much rice, and you can only have 2 tortillas. And they were like, what? Well, that's not, we work all day. We're out in the field, we're doing this, we can't just have 2 tortillas. We can't have that much rice. So that was a big eye-opener when I was telling them what to eat, what not to eat, and that was kind of fun, back and forth. They were asking a lot of questions, and during CPR, the same thing. They were like afraid to touch the dummies at first, and I'm like, this is your child. You pretend this is your baby that's choking on a marble or something, and then they're like, okay. So it was a lot of fun. But one of the things that really, I guess, touched me, I don't want to take up too much time, I know we're kind of running late, was devotions. Lisa holds a nightly devotion for the women. Now they've gotten up way early in the morning, they've worked all day, taking care of their kids, and got them ready for bed and done everything they can do, and then they still come to nightly devotions with Lisa in the nursery. And they get little chairs out and everybody sits in them, they get their Bibles, and they talk about what scriptures they've been reading. And they are excited, like it's, I can't, I gotta stop talking, I gotta, stop, if we were talking about something, it's time to run to devotions, and they all wanna hurry and get there because they look forward to hearing the word. They look forward to sharing with each other and with sharing what they're learning from the word and what God is doing in their lives and teaching them. And then, as Craig said earlier, they shared at the women's meetings as well their testimonies. And I'm going to try to share some of them. I just picked out a couple, 2 or 3. I was really overwhelmed by the joy that these women had and how strong they were after going through what they went through, and how they could even get up and tell us, their testimonies without just breaking down. And because I did, I would be crying every night. But I just, like I said, I wanted to share quickly a few of them. There was one young woman, I don't know really if I should tell their names, I guess it doesn't matter, but the first night when we went to devotions, Alyssa and I were there, and she was talking about her upbringing. She said she was raised in a Catholic home, and she was living with she married a man who was an alcoholic, would leave the home, leave them sometimes for days at a time, her and her child, and then eventually they had 3 children, and would leave them without money for food. They'd have 2 days' worth of food money, she said, sometimes, and that would be it. And then she had to try and figure out how to feed the children and herself other days. And so she tried several times to leave. She wanted to leave, and her parents would keep telling her, no, you can't leave. You're married. And that's your husband, and you have to stay with him. But she eventually decided, she didn't want her children to keep living that way and to be hungry. And so she prayed and found her way to CDP. And that night, she had been there, I think that was close to her second year that she had been there with her children. That night, she gave her heart to the Lord. And she said all this time, she had been feeling like an orphan, but for some reason during worship and during devotion that night, she felt God calling her. And she said, I just feel like I'm no longer an orphan. And she asked Jesus into her heart that night, which was so encouraging for us to see the work that Lisa was doing come to fruition. And then another night, the lady who was in the picture whose home you saw, she gave her testimony, and she was talking about her husband who was involved with drugs and was a very violent man. And she wanted to leave. She kept wanting to leave him, and he wouldn't let her. And finally, one night, he locked her in a room and set it on fire because he told her she wasn't going to leave him. He would kill her first. So her children luckily heard her screaming and were able to get her neighbors, and they were able to get her out of the room. So he did not kill her. He tried again, of course, several times. He choked her, tried to shoot her. At one point, she said he tried to come at her with a machete, tried to hack her with a machete, but each time she was delivered, either by neighbors, friends, or God, basically, using these people to save her. And then she finally also found out about CDP and was taken there. After she was at CDP, though, he found out she was there as well. and threatened to come with his machete and his guns and kill the staff and the people at CDP so that he could still kill her, because that was his ultimate goal. So Lisa was telling us that they all got together and they prayed for God to protect them and to protect her and the children. And after he got on the bus on his way there with the plan to kill them all, he was shot and killed himself by somebody on the bus. So she felt that was God protecting them. Not that she wanted him killed. She said she would have preferred if he had, given his life to the Lord, but either way, they were protected. And then the final one that I just want to share is a young woman who was living there in Mexico with her mother. They had their own little house. However, she was about 10 years old, she said, at this time that she was telling us. Her mom would come and go. Her mom would go out with all these different men. She would be with one man, then another, and leave her home alone 2 and 3 and 4 days at a time with no food. She had to figure out how to feed herself, get herself dressed, take herself to school, and then her mom would eventually show back up. And finally, she started going out with this man who he moved in with them. But he was a very violent man, was always threatening to kill her mother. And one night, her mother would send her sometimes to stay with relatives. They did have family nearby. But when her mother would send her to stay with her family members, one of her relatives would rape her repeatedly while she was with them. And so when she was 11 years old, she found out she was pregnant with her family member's child. And so she was home, and her mother and the man had gone out, and he shows back up late that night and says her mom ran off with a different man, and he wasn't coming back. He wanted her to give him the deed to their house and told her that he was going to be taking care of her from now on and her baby. So she didn't really care for that. And she ended up going and staying, don't get ahead of myself. After about a little over a week, about 8, 9 days, she said she could see birds circling this area. And she had called the police, her family, and she called the police, and they went and searched and found the body of her mother. He had killed her, and they just found her decomposing body. So the police kind of were looking for him, and she couldn't stay alone, they said. So she ended up staying with her ex-sister-in-law in these kind of makeshift house, kind of basically on the street. And so then eventually someone reported that she was there with a baby, because she did have her baby, and Child Protective Services were called to come, and they told her if she didn't come with them so that they could take her to Casa del Pastor, then they would take her baby. And so she said the only thing that she had at that time in her life, she felt, was her baby, and she did not want them to take the baby away from her. So she came to CDP with her baby, and she said she was overwhelmed by all the love that they showed her when she got there. She said Lisa and Jeannie welcomed her like a mother, and that was the first time she'd ever even felt the love of a mother. And she continued. She stayed there. She raised her son. She got married. She ended up having several more children. And I think her oldest daughter, was the one that had just graduated college. She became a counselor, and she was studying to become an agriculturist herself. She had got divorced because the man she married had started running around on her, so she came back to CDP and then went on to college, and that's her plan now, is to help with the ranch, studying agriculture. So all these testimonies just really touched me and made me realize, I fuss and carry on, and sometimes, like Craig said, I'm not as grateful and thankful as I should be. And just to hear these stories and see the hearts of these women, how they've gone through such trauma, and yet here they are, just joyful, serving the Lord, and happy, and raising their children to know the Lord. And I just kept thinking of Nehemiah 8:10, the joy of the Lord is my strength, because they were so strong the face of such circumstances. So these really are, this really is a life-saving mission that Lisa has there, and I'm not sure how soon I'll get to go back, but I'm looking forward to it.
Anna? Okay.
Hi. One of the things I learned is simplicity. We put too much in our lives, and these kids were so happy with the bubbles I brought. It was just such a joy to watch them play with the bubbles. Or, all the bags of clothes. Alyssa and Deb and I put some candy in it, and we put some bubbles in it. And being like kids, a couple of them, instead of going for the clothes, they went right for the candy. Typical child. But I had extra bubbles left over, so I went out and gave them more bubbles. And I'm like, dose, only 2. Well, of course, children being children, one of the other kids came up and said, cinco. Obviously, one of the other kids had said, basically, I thought he said, can I get some for my mother? I said, sure. So he got 5 bubbles, and the other ones weren't very happy about it. But, it happens. I got to play ball with a couple of the children. That was great. The children had so much joy. The mothers had so much joy in their lives. They were filled with Jesus. They loved Jesus. Talking about, I went to the women's Bible study. The lady there did a bilingual also, so we got to listen and learn the word. The women, the things they've gone through, some of us can't even imagine what these women have been through. Multiple times, their husbands would tell them, you're dirt, or whatever, you can't live without me, you can't go anywhere, and they believed it. And being Catholic, you don't get divorced. It's just you don't do that, and a lot of them are Catholic. And they finally did. They said, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to raise my children like this. You can't do a circle. If you keep it up, it's going to keep going. It was great to see our gentlemen playing with the children, because they don't get to see men interacting lovingly with their children. They can see their fathers, and their fathers were alcoholics, drug addicts. They're beating their mothers. They're beating their siblings or them, not taking care of them. But these men came from Festus, Missouri, and they were caring about these children. They were letting them paint. They were letting them help fix the floor. They were just playing with them. They on their shoulders. They were being dads to these children. And it was a true blessing, and I'm very happy I got to go. And I definitely want to go again, because I need to bring 3 suitcases so I have plenty of chocolate and bubbles.
I'm getting the wrap it up sign. So Joe and Kyle, can you come up real quick and both just save a little bit of time that way? So.
You have to bear with me. I can't hear very well. One thing I learned was joy. Something I'm good at doing is forgetting what God's blessed me with, and going made me more content, very much more content, and realizing what just simply what joy was, true joy. And I really am gonna hopefully urge you guys, please don't get wrapped up in your possessions that you got here, because they're not yours, they're God's. Your kids are God's, your hearts are God's, your breath is God's. And He's blessed you with all of it. And it's just made me just opened my eyes going. And it's made me a better husband and a better father. And I hope to not forget it. And I pray that the other people that went don't forget their experience as well. And that's all I got.
So I think the reoccurring theme you hear from all of us that we took away from this is just the joy and contentment that these ladies and these children who have gone through such horrible conditions and treatment, abuse, and they persevered, and it was infectious, to say the least, upon us. And just a couple things. A verse that the Lord put on my heart while we were down there, I shared in our morning devotion. Psalm 34, verse 8 says, "O taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusts in him." We got to see the hand of God working in the lives of these women and children. We got to experience their joy, their contentment, their peace and happiness, and we were blessed by it. And one of the things that really stood out to me that week, and a lesson I learned from it, when we were breaking out this concrete and we had the sledgehammer and the jackhammer going, and these little guys, they couldn't swing the big sledgehammer or run the jackhammer, so they took a 2-pound sledgehammer and went at it. They couldn't pick up the big pieces of concrete, but they picked up what they could. And the lesson I learned from that is maybe we can't do big and great things like somebody else can, but there's something we can do.
Amen.
Find something you could do for the Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Joe. All right, well, thank you. I know we ran a long way, so we're going to wrap it up. But thanks for your attention. If you got any questions about the ministry there, see anybody on the team.